So I'm here with Alan Hunt from the Dynamic Catholic Institute. I just recently met Alan at our annual priest gathering here in for the Knoxville and Nashville diocese, and thought he would be a very interesting person to interview. So here he is with us. I'm glad that you were able to take a few minutes out of your day and talk with us.
It's great to be with you, Father Christian.
Well, Alan, I thought we might just start with you telling us a little bit about yourself. I know that you are a somewhat recent convert to the Catholic faith, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you were doing before and how it is that you made your way into the faith.
Yeah, I came into the church 5 years ago, Feast of the Epiphany in 2008. So my fifth anniversary will be coming up here in a couple weeks. And before that, as Matthew Kelly and I were sharing when we were with you guys back in the fall, I was a Methodist pastor. I was an evangelical pastor for 20 years. And so I grew up in the Methodist church and worked in business for several years after college. Felt called by God to go into full-time ministry, so I did that. And I served in the Methodist church for 2 decades. And during that time, really just sort of had a number of things that God was doing in my spirit and drawing me and leading me. Took me a while to till that soil and to figure out exactly what God was up to, but really became very clear to me along the way that He was calling me into the Catholic Church. So I came into the church 5 years ago and really feel blessed to be a part of it.
Well, and that had to be a big step for somebody. I know, being myself a pastor, to not only change your life, but it kind of affects your work as well, I would imagine. That might be a little bit of a fear.
And for me, it affected my family as well. So it's kind of a three-part kind of thing. You go from I've gone from a very public role. I had a very large congregation with about 8,000 members, so a very large public life in Metro Atlanta, to a more private life. I still do talk radio, but obviously radio is nobody ever sees your face and they don't know who you are. So I can go to restaurants now, nobody knows or cares, which is kind of nice.
Yes.
So it affects your life, but it affected my family in ways, some of which we anticipated and some of which we didn't. My wife was alongside me on that journey, and so it was not real surprising to her. But I didn't tell my daughters a lot of that along the way, and so it was a little more abrupt of a change for them, and so it took a little while for the two of them to process through that. So yeah, and then as you mentioned with work, I went from having a salary and insurance and pension and those kinds of things to being a little more of an entrepreneur now, where I do a lot of speaking and writing and do talk radio, and so it's been a life shift. But actually, again, it's all been good. God provides, and it's been a wonderful transition. I feel very much at home and love being a part of the church.
Well, it is a big leap, and I applaud anyone who has the courage to stand by what they think is true and to take that leap when necessary.
Well, it's funny because people ask me about that, and the way I describe it is for me, it was the very first time in my life where I made a complete leap of faith. Folks thought when I left business to go into full-time ordained ministry as a Methodist pastor, oh, that's a big leap of faith. Well, not really. I mean, I knew what I was getting into. I sort of knew what the steps were. So while there was some uncertainty, really it wasn't that big of a leap. But this one, it really was kind of stepping off through a dark curtain and saying, okay, God, I know you're calling me to go into this and to walk by faith rather than by sight. And it really has been the first time where I really did, and it's been a great experience and lesson for me in what faith really looks like, tastes like, and feels like, because it's been exhilarating, and God has been there every step of the way. It really has been. It's been fun.
Well, the place where I recently met you was through your work at the Dynamic Catholic Institute.
Right.
And I first heard about Matthew Kelly's work. I'm sure you'll be surprised by this. I was the diocesan director of youth ministry, and Matthew sent me some CDs and books in the mail because he thought we might be interested in them. And so he's been doing this for a while, but you guys are starting to ramp up a little bit more these days, and I thought you might want to talk about some of the things you guys are working on there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks know Matthew. he's been speaking, obviously a native of Australia, and he started when he was 18 or 19 years old speaking, and has been speaking in Catholic parishes and colleges and schools for 20 years. But over the last couple of years, he and I have begun partnering together with what we call the Dynamic Catholic Institute, where really our mission is to meet people where they are and help lead them to where God calls them to be. And we really focus on helping to engage disengaged Catholics. And so we do that in a number of kind of key ways. We're trying to do things that really help as many people as possible. And one of those is through our parish book program, which I think you're familiar with, Father Christian, where
Yes.
we make available his books and my books and several other people's basically in paperback at cost in quantities to parishes to give away at Christmas and Easter. Because at Christmas, 32% of people who come to Mass at Christmas, that's the only time all year we'll see them. And so what they're telling us is that they have a deep yearning or a deep memory of their faith, but they're maybe dormant or just not quite sure what to do with that. So we give those books away. And this year, it's really, I just got the information, Matthew and I were talking on Friday, just got the information of where we are as we start December. It looks like we're going to end up giving away about 2 million books this Christmas alone in 5,000 parishes across the country, which I think there's about 16 or 18,000 parishes. That's almost a third of parishes in the country will be giving these books away at Christmas, which is really cool if you think about it, because here's people who come and this is the only time that we'll see them, and we not only give them a gift, which is a good thing, so they receive something, but we also give them a strategic gift, a book that kind of helps awaken their faith and stir those embers inside of them to yearn for God and helps them take one step forward toward where God wants them to be. So we've been just amazed and blessed by the responses of that in terms of how many people email us and how many people get connected to parishes when we do that. So that's one of our main ventures. Another one, as you know, is we're developing a world-class confirmation experience that we're going to roll out kind of in a pilot form next year that'll be housed online, and it'll be a really exceptionally well done, we hope, life-changing experience. So we're going to probably pilot that in 75 or 100 parishes in 2013. And then in 2014, we'll begin giving it away. We're raising the money to underwrite the cost of this so we can give it away to all parishes across the country who want to be able to use it. So it's fun work and it's exhilarating work, and I'm getting to share some of my own journey and what I've discovered about being Catholic to help as many people as we can.
And you guys are really doing a lot of research, especially I think with things like the confirmation program, to find out, instead of just doing things, of saying
Right.
what works and what doesn't work pragmatically. And I think that's one of the things that struck so many of our priests this past summer was that what you guys are doing is very faith-filled, but it also has a practical aspect of saying what's going to reach the most people. And just an interesting thing, you might appreciate, one of the things that I happened to me about maybe a month after you guys were with us is I had a call from one of my parishioners who wanted to know if I had heard of this guy named Alan Hunt. And I said, well, yes, I hadn't heard of this guy, Alan Hunt. And she said, well, it's interesting. I was at the doctor's office, and this lady next to me was reading this book by Alan Hunt. And she finished it, and she said, hey, someone gave this to me at our parish. They were giving it away, and so I'm going to pass it along to you. And so she got this book, and she said, we should do the same thing. And I said, well, we are doing that. But then it was, what was even more amazing to me was she said, I really wish that I knew who this lady was, but all I know is that she was at thus and such parish, and she was there with her son Joe, who had been in a car accident, and she was waiting for him. And I said, well, was the car accident like recent, or was it a little while back? And she said, oh no, it was a little while back. I said, well, I know who that is. I'll get you in touch with them, because I'd been there with that family the night that he had that accident. And so it was kind of this weird kind of exchange, but all through the fact that these people decided to give away your book to the parish, and people are spreading their faith around because of that.
Yeah, I mean that's what Matthew and I have found, is that these books take on a life of their own because people receive them for free. A pretty high percentage of them read them, and then they begin to then share it with other people who in turn share it. And so each book not only reaches those people who come to Mass, but a number of folks, as the concentric circles kind of build out from there, it helps people learn very simple, non-threatening, life-giving ways to evangelize, to share the faith. It's easy to say, hey, I read this book and it was really helpful to me, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a lot easier than going door to door and knocking on the door and saying, hey, can I give you a tract?
Yes, exactly. Well, and it's personal and it's not threatening, because if you don't want the book, then you can take it to the library sale or whatever, but somebody will get it eventually. So
sell it at a garage sale for 5 cents. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, if somebody wanted to get involved with Dynamic Catholic, how would they do that?
DynamicCatholic.com is our website, and it's in the process of being completely overhauled. So hopefully in the next month or so, it's going to be completely different than what you see it is today. But at DynamicCatholic.com, everything that Matthew and I and our whole team, we have a team of about 20 people. We do passion and purpose events, these parish book programs, doing the confirmation, and then also, as you mentioned, the research that we've done is really pretty extensive. Now, not all of that is on the website. But the research, a lot of that's come out in Matthew's new book, The 4 Signs of a Dynamic Catholic, which I think you already got a copy of as well. We looked at the Catholic world in America, the Catholic universe in America, to really try to figure out what's going on and what's the most helpful to people in terms of discovering what it means to be Catholic, so that we can channel all of our energy and resources to doing the things that are the most effective to help the church. So DynamicCatholic.com is a great place to start, and through that you can always email me, Allen, ALLEN, at Allen@DynamicCatholic.com.
Sure, and I think what I've been experiencing is that those 4 signs really do resonate, especially with the people who are involved, and hopefully what we've been doing in our parish is trying to focus just in little small ways on each of those 4 steps, and just lead those who are right there thinking about, I want to be involved, but I'm not sure quite how to do that. Is just some simple ways to do it. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, here's how to have your faith really begin to take some hold in your life and help shape who you are, as opposed to just sort of being a thing every once in a while I show up for confession or mass. But to really have faith come alive in your life, and it's a wonderful thing to watch. And so I'm glad we can help you and your parish, and you're helping me. I mean, you and I were Facebook friends through radio way before we met each other through Matthew. So you and I go way back in the day.
Yes. Well, thanks again for being with us, and I'm hoping to put this up so that more people in our parish and around the diocese will learn some more about you and the work that you're doing, because it's good work.
Good stuff, Father Christian. You're the best, man. Have a great Advent and Christmas.
You as well.